I have to declare, out of more than 100 cities I've been to, Brussels is the most woke of all of them. People are learning the truth. And the thing about the truth is, you don't need money to spread it.
On your visit to Brussels, first of all, you've witnessed on the streets of so many countries all across the world, many different cultures and environments. But your reception in Brussels, if we watch your YouTube channel and your Twitter, it could only be described as an on-the-streets hostile reception, including protests and physical confrontations from people. What was your experience in Brussels like on the streets, and how does it compare to a normal city?
I was surprised because other places I've been in Europe, I don't get a whole lot of pushback. Canada tends to be the worst, and that's where I suffer the most violence. But I have to declare, out of more than 100 cities I've been to, Brussels is the most woke of all of them. I get 9-to-1 support versus against pretty much wherever I go. Here it was 5 against, 1 for. We can't walk 20 feet without someone giving us a dirty look or saying things. And what's really surprising is the amount of men here who voiced opposition to me. Because honestly, especially in North America, 9 out of 10 of the people who disagree with me are young women who have been indoctrinated in university primarily to believe that gender ideology is loving and kind and that kids are going to kill themselves if we don't transition them. That's their number one argument. It's used to coerce people to go along with this because the only way you can justify this child abuse is to say that children are going to die if we don't do it. And that's one way they've had success in pushing this is through fear and coercion. But I'd say there's a whole lot of indoctrination going on in this city. I don't think the message has been out in the real world as much as it needs to be, which is why it is important to go out there, having a simple sign, having conversations, because with the power of social media, that spreads.
What do you think that the type of response that you received in Brussels says about the current state of dialogue on this issue?
Dialogue isn't allowed on this issue. Just for trying to have a conversation, they call you a fascist.
Yeah.
That's right. Literally, or a Nazi. I was called that.
Yeah.
And I said, Nazis? Do you know what the Nazis did? They experimented on children. Do you know who's experimenting on children today?
Yeah.
The doctors at these gender clinics.
Yes.
But you can't even call it an experiment because there are no regulations or rules or objectives they're trying to achieve. It's just the Wild West of medicine.
Yeah. I think I was going to ask you, does it strengthen your resolve to continue to witness in the way that you have, and you in ADF? The fact that the capture of ordinary young boys and girls is so profound. The fact that our institutions are captured, does it really, strengthen your resolve to keep up the fight? And what would you say to people listening to you today who haven't yet been active or haven't yet given voice? What would you say to encourage them to stand up and speak out and say something's wrong?
If you look at any movement in history, it's always a small number of people that make the greatest amount of change. We don't need 10% of the population speaking up. We need some intelligent individuals who learn about this issue, who can speak about it with compassion and with truth, and who aren't afraid of the hostility. And they need to be able to stay calm, because that's how we win. And as we've seen on the streets, and this 5-year campaign I've been on is proof of it, it works. I reach about 1 billion people a year impressions on Twitter now. Never mind all the other social media channels and other people who take some of the content. But people are learning the truth. And the thing about the truth is you don't need money to spread it. This needed billions of dollars from governments and NGOs to become the behemoth that it is. But the truth spreads for free, and it's spreading. And when you come for our kids, nothing gets parents more involved than that. I had never been to a protest in my life before I started this at the young age of 44. But this was coming for our kids. And the parents whose children are affected, a lot of them can't speak out because they would alienate their own child, or the state might even take their children away. But we cannot allow this ideology to stand because it's harming hundreds of thousands of children. And by simply spreading the truth, we're going to stop it.
Just 2 hours after this interview, Billboard Chris was arrested and detained by police. Why? Because he was speaking the truth. Truth that the mob could not tolerate. They didn't argue. They didn't debate. They simply reacted with aggression. And the authorities responded not by protecting freedom of speech, but by silencing the speaker. If you need any more proof that freedom of expression is under direct attack, look no further than this. Right here, right now, at the very heart of the European Union, in Brussels, a man was detained not for violence, not for hate, but for his words.